in what I was trying to achieve. Now, the definition that I've set out here, every word is legally weighted and termed, but there is one word within the definition that is particularly important, and that word is the word inhabitants. You'll notice that it doesn't use the word persons or people. It's a recognition that when we have mass damage and destruction of any given territory, it's not just human beings that are adversely impacted. And this is also about the recognition of the interconnectedness of all life. In fact, what Peter Tatchell very kindly was pointing out earlier, destroy the earth that we're standing on, we actually destroy our ability to live in peaceful enjoyment. But my focus today here is very much to do with big business. It's actually about corporate ecocide that I'm particularly wanting to look at here. In wartime, we already have an international war crime that deals with the mass damage and destruction of the earth. But we don't have one that exists during peacetime. So this is a missing crime, a missing, what I call the fifth missing crime against peace. We already have 4 international crimes against peace. We've got genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and the most recent one that's been put in place is crimes of aggression, the run up to war. But we have to expand our cycle of concern, and this is the law to do this. However, I'm very interested not so much about vilifying business, but how we make the problem into the solution. Because this is not a blame game. This is really about actually bringing business to the table and saying, how do we turn this around? And I think it's particularly apt that we're here today in Rathbone Bank, where they started in a world born of slavery. I'd like to take you back 200 years ago, because I think there are parallels with what happened then to what's happening today, and how we can build on the wisdom that we can learn from that and actually turn something truly remarkable around. 200 years ago, there were 300 companies that were directly or indirectly involved in slavery. And it was William Wilberforce, who was the parliamentarian here in Britain, who stood up to fight for the mantle, for the abolition of slavery. Now, of course, when he stood up and said, morally this is wrong, it has to stop, he was met with a wall of objections. Moreover, because he was saying, actually, it's the moral imperative that trumps the economic imperative. And of course, industry turned around and said, well, you can't stop slavery, it is a necessity. But more than that, the public demanded, and if you continue with this idea, it will lead to economic collapse. Big industry came out with solutions, and they said, we don't need any more laws, we've got too many laws already. In fact, let us self-regulate. We'll do this in a voluntary capacity. We could limit the numbers, we could create a market mechanism, a cap and trade system, if you like. Leave it to us for market mechanisms to work this out. We can have a permit system. In fact, we can tell people to use their slaves more efficiently. One particular industry insider suggested that improve conditions, give them a little bit of hay for the bedding on the boats as they come over. Actually, the bedding, the hay, the bedding wasn't going to make any difference. Over 2/3 of slaves died on the boats coming over. That wasn't going to make a difference. But when push came to the shove, they said, well, really, if you have to curtail our activities, fine us. Catch me if you can not. Now, the difference between then and today is that back then, those proposals were ultimately rejected by Parliament. Today, we're looking at 3,000 companies. And instead, what we're looking at here is a far greater form of slavery. Now, there was one man that helped change this, and his name was Charles Grant, because he stood up and he did something remarkable. He stood up and he said, the moral imperative trumps the economic imperative. But he stood up from within the world of business, and we're looking for someone to do the same today. Because when he did that, 2 incredible things happened. One was that other insiders within business stood up and said the same. Charles Grant was the biggest slave trader of his day. But secondly, government took action. So we have a job advert that we're putting out there, and this is it, for the biggest job on earth. Now, Forbes magazine have actually gifted us a 90% pro bono ad. It's going out right across the world. And Google are giving us free advertising as well. We have something that we want to message out like crazy here. We want to engage the business world. And that's what we need £5,000 for, is to pay for someone to help make that happen within our team for the next 2 months. My time is up, so I shall leave it there. Thank you very much.